Welcome everyone to the PYRESWAP show for another Thankful Thursday. And I want to again express my appreciation for everybody who tunes into this program so very regularly and consistently. Your consistency and regularity are appreciated. Your yeah, that's all I mean. Today I want to address some liquidity concerns actually. So I want to address liquidity concerns. Oh, there's no video on Discord. How are we on Twitter? And how are we on Reddit? Did Reddit post yet? Okay. Well, I'm going to address liquidity concerns, right? So, when we talk about like the blue chip liquidity that is in fact required to kind of keep the incantation of witch vault fed. For those of you who understand, right now everyone is holding illiquid. Everyone is holding emissions. Does that make sense? So all the emissions, like all the tokens, as it were, they're not in liquidity. When is it advantageous to deepen liquidity, right? Liquidity will deepen at the meeting level. Does that make sense, everybody? Can you guys hear me? All right, audible. Fantastic. Am I visual? Am I visible? How are my visuals and visibles? Fantastic, great. Okay, so do you guys understand this? So I want you to understand something. When we get to the meeting level, when we get to mead level, what should we deepen? Who here knows? Who here knows? The answer is simple, quite simple. Do you guys know? Do you guys know? All of them. All of them. Deepen all of them. Do you guys understand why? Yeah, if you want to braid, you can and what you can. Technically, when we mean braided, we're not even talking about Pyre gas, by the way. Yeah, we're not even talking about that. Yeah, we mean all of them. Yeah, the blue chips need to be deepened. Yeah, so if you know what I'm talking about, where you have this tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, right? Let me draw a little graph of this. Let me draw a little matrix on the board, as it were. And forgive me if you're a BNB or a AVAX guy. I'm going to draw it like a 9x9, right? So right here, we have these blue chips, right? Does that make sense? You've got your Bitcoin against ETH, right? Then here you got ETH against Phantom, right? Then you got like Phantom against Bitcoin. Maybe it's the wrong order, whatever. Does that make sense? Then you have Pyre Phantom against Bitcoin. Then you have Pyre Phantom against ETH. Then you have Pyre Phantom against Phantom, right? Then you have Pyre Phantom against 2 ohm. Pyre Phantom against 3 ohm. Pyre Phantom against Z ohm. Can you guys mostly read that? Can you guys mostly read that? Let me see on my screen that's legible. Yeah, it's mostly legible. Yeah, close enough, right? Good enough? Good enough? Okay, yeah. I'm gonna explain here. We're gonna call these 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. So these ones right here, one and 2 help Pyre Phantom keep climbing. Three helps 2 ohm. I'll write like this: 2 ohm, 3 ohm, and Z ohm to climb. Do you guys understand? Do you guys understand? Yeah. 1 and 2, they help Pyre Phantom to keep climbing. 3 helps 2 ohm, 3 ohm, and Z ohm to climb. You guys follow me? You guys more or less understand me? Thank you. Do you guys understand me? Do you guys understand why they help climb? Well, CJ, you mean like about the weights of incentive? Yeah, because these ones, we have more weight in the down the incentive because these are our own tokens. Does that make sense? So like, we don't care if our tokens are getting sold for our own tokens. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't like hurt us. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? You get that? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Right? So here, it's like, we still need these pairs. All of these tokens are in the GPSC, right? These are GPSC tokens. Like up here, like it's for blue chips, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Phantom, right? Now we do need like the Phantom one, obviously, for the fucking for the Oracle, right? But these pools here have higher APRs for obvious reasons. These ones right here are like just blue chip arbitrage liquidity, but the reason we want to deepen these ones as well is because these help route the arbitrage liquidity and then get it trapped. It helps Pyre Phantom do a separate job. Like it gets Pyre Phantom transacting more based on background noise. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, so more transactions, even if they're small little like tiny swaps, like they'll happen more because of this second row. Does that make sense? So this second row is more about making the shape of the graph more curved, more angular, more just more transactions. Does that make sense? We're just trying to increase the transaction count on Pyre Phantom in general because that creates more transactions wherever Pyre Phantom is. Making sense? So when you see Bitcoin move and we have a pair of Pyre Phantom against Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin moves with respect to Phantom, and I'll draw this up if you want. So let's say we have these two pairs. Let's say we have 3 pairs. Let's say we're going to talk about Bitcoin against Phantom. Then we'll say Pyre Phantom against Phantom. And then we'll have Pyre Phantom against Bitcoin. Okay, so let's say like on a day like let's actually check CoinMarketCap. Okay, so right now Bitcoin is up like 0%. Let's see if Phantom has what kind of day Phantom's having. Phantom is down 2.4% on the day, right? So right now Bitcoin is like less than 1, and fucking Phantom is down 8% on the day. My apologies, Phantom is down 8%. No, Phantom is now 60 cents. Yep, that is CJ. If you could look again, if you could please look again, sir. Yeah, I think that our site, I think the website lagged or something. It's still in the top 50. It's top 50, not bad. But Phantom is down 8% on the day. Does that make sense? No worries, no worries. We probably were just refreshed CoinMarketCap just now. So Phantom is down 8% on the day. Bitcoin is less than 1% change. So what that means is, if Phantom is going down, does that make sense? On CoinMarketCap, that means that between this pair, there is an arbitrage opportunity. Does that make sense? So the arbitrager, they take all the other pairs where Bitcoin Phantom is. Does that make sense? So assume there's just 100 other places where Bitcoin can be swapped for Phantom. So arbitrageurs will route through here. Does that make sense? Now, again, if we deepen this liquidity pool right here, that means there's another 2 pairs where the Phantom change can be exploited by the arbitrageurs. Does that make sense? So if Phantom goes down 8%, and I'll draw this up. All right, so if Phantom goes down 8%, right? And let's say it's going down on Coinbase, okay? ARBs swap between PYRESWAP and Coinbase. Does that make sense to you guys? Phantom could go up 8% tomorrow. Arbitrageurs will literally come back to reverse the same swap they did today. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you guys understand why? Because there's a price differential between whatever we have versus what Coinbase has. Do you guys understand this? This is correct, CJ. Yeah, and then it can, in theory, shift back as well. Right? So literally, your Phantom quantity will go up. Making sense, everybody? So Phantom quantity will go up here. Okay? So ARB swap between PYRESWAP and Coinbase. Okay? They bring fees. Now, again, we have these other 2 pairs with Pyre Phantom here. Does that make sense? So Phantom still goes down here, right? Still goes down here 8%. Make sense? So literally, in order to swap through here, the arbitrageurs need a route to get back to a safe haven asset, like a like a stable coin or like Bitcoin. Does that make sense? So when Phantom goes down 8% on this market, it also goes down 8% in this market with Pyre Phantom. Make sense? Do you guys get it? It's like, oh, if the liquidity is deep enough, the arbitrageurs will take this price action on Phantom and turn it into volume on this pair. Does that make sense? Then they would swap through, right? Then they would swap through almost like this. Like if their goal is to exploit this, they're going to take this. They're going to buy, okay. Let's say they recognize that there's a price differential on Bitcoin and Phantom. Let's say they're holding Bitcoin. They're going to use their Bitcoin to buy Pyre Phantom, to sell Pyre Phantom, to buy Phantom, and then fucking go back here. Does that make sense? So we're just creating these routes for arbitrageurs to route through. Does that make sense? Now these blue chips are great to have in pairs against Pyre Gas, because when we sell for the incantation, like when we sell for the incantation, we're selling Phantom, Bitcoin, and ETH initially. We're actually selling these 2 as well before we buy them back. Does that make sense? So we're just putting more transactions on the chart, which also creates more incants. Does that make sense? So the same liquidity difference here where Bitcoin and Phantom diverge, we're going to leverage that again through Pyre Phantom. Does that make sense? It's not about like creating an actual market for this. Does that make sense? Like this is the chart you probably watch, right? Pyre Phantom against Phantom. You probably watch 2 ohm or 3 ohm against Phantom as well. That's the right way to look at it. This is the numeraire chart. Make sense? But like we happen to have it through Bitcoin as well as a numeraire, and we like as a frame of reference, as a point of pilotage. So we also have it against Bitcoin, and we also have it against ETH, because that way when Bitcoin, ETH, and Phantom have their own compressions and changes in distance with reference to each other, these also create reasons for arbitrageurs to route through. Now, we have a 0.7% swap fee, which is fucking high. So this does in fact limit this behavior. Does that make sense? So that is in fact the throttle to it, but this is in fact the theory. But the fact of the matter is, some people have, raised the concern that like liquidity might not be deep enough, and it's not. But the fact of the matter is I'm going to bring the price of the TWAPs back up to the Mead level, and then I'm just going to yell at everybody holding illiquid. Because right now, again, you guys are all holding illiquid, right? To be clear, like everybody, adding everybody that watches this show, you're all holding a shit ton of it illiquid. Illiquid meaning you're holding the Pyre gas tokens singularly. Correct? I know Pyre producer is. Dr. Mac has in liquidity. Okay, well, again, lots of people are holding it. Lots of people are holding it in. Lots of people are holding it illiquid. The house wallet, the house wallet, the house wallet is also like unclaimed emissions. Does that make sense? Right? We're not selling the tokens. Do you guys understand? We haven't been selling the tokens for a while. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. So, fact of the matter is, Doc, I was aware. But yeah, the point being is that like you're just gonna hold those illiquid. It's gonna make the most sense for your bag to take those, put them back into liquidity when we get back to the Mead level. Make sense? Make sense, everybody? Yeah. Well, CJ, it's about like you don't want to sell it before it makes sense to sell it. Yeah. They will, CJ. They will. Yeah, at least the house wallet will. Does that make sense? The house wallet will be deepening all liquidity when we get back to the Mead levels. Thank you, Cynical. Yeah, and I'm talking about like liquidity economics and stuff. So, okay. So for those of you who aren't aware, even with the 17%. By the way, guys, did you guys notice that we're down 17% as of like a reference point ago? But this is the chart looking flat right now. Does that make sense? This was us 1st of October. Hey, this was us the 1st of October. We slashed from 0.7 to 0.1, right? Right? Everybody aware of this? Okay. Well, a month of being at 0.7% caused a 600% rally in Pyre Phantom. Does that make sense to you guys? September 6th. Everybody knows that day on the chart, right? September 6th is an easy day to spot on the chart. Would you guys agree that on these particular charts, you can spot September 6th from a month away? Everybody agree? I think I'm gonna answer your question in the by proxy, TJ. I don't know what you're asking, but I think I'm gonna answer anyway. Okay, a month of being at 0.7 caused a 600% rally of Pyre Phantom. So theoretically, I don't know why I erased all that. I shouldn't have. Theoretically, then, therefore, a month at 0.1% should cause a greater than 600% rally. Make sense to you guys? Just theory. But do you guys understand why it's theory? Don't understand that question either. Okay, therefore, a month of 0.1 should cause a greater than 7% rally, right? Okay, yeah. So CJ, if we need to, we can raise emissions when we get to the mid level. Does that make sense? We could raise emissions again. We could go to 0.2, 0.3, maybe 0.5, maybe 0.7 if it seems like it's the right move. But we want to maintain a deflationary uptrend. Does that make sense? So like here's the good part. If you're in the farms past the mid level and the price is continuing to climb while you're getting emissions, every day you're getting more tokens and those tokens are worth more money. So that's like a great 60 days of compounding for the remainder. Does that make sense, CJ? You get what I'm saying? So every day is technically more emissions, right? Because total supply is still climbing, but we're also going up in price. So every day, in theory, is more APR than the day before, if we can get to that point. Does that make sense? We're at that point right now, kind of. You get what I'm saying? We're actually right now, technically, is a great time to compound. But most people are holding illiquid because it's better. Yeah, if you're thinking you're going to go 600% in a month, you might think holding illiquid makes the most sense. At least until the mid level, right? Once we get to the mid level, CJ, it's not going to look so steep. It's going to taper the curve. Make sense? It's going to be more clamberish. So I don't really know what the rate of climb will be after that point. Make sense? Yeah. Like the plan, okay. So like I have plans based on like the context. So I don't know if you know enough about my brain, but I think about like collections of futures. I think about the future as like bundles. Yeah. So like I don't know. Yeah, I don't have. My brain doesn't think that way. I have probably like 75 different plans in like this extremely abstract view. Yeah. So I don't really have a good answer there. Not necessarily, Doc. No. And by the way, like I don't answer these questions. Yeah. So like that's not necessarily true. Yeah. No, yeah, okay. So it's not necessarily better to compound now. It's good to compound now, but not necessarily better. Yeah. Yeah. Like right now, just from the fact that APR is kind of going up every day because of the price going up and the supply going up, this is a good time to compound. But it's not the best time to compound necessarily. It might be better to hold it liquid. Like that, this is analytical labor. But yeah, like I don't do it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, that's definitely like for you to decide. But like a lot of people are compounding, a lot of people aren't. Hope that makes sense. Yeah. Like again, if you're trying to now 100x your money off of Pyre gas, like if you want to just hold it illiquid all the way to fucking peg, I wouldn't sell it, right? Yeah, that makes sense, Nicole, yeah. Sure. Yeah. Everybody is meant to be in variegated positions. Does that make sense? Like I would never fucking tell somebody this is the thing you should do, right? Because like or say it to everybody. Yeah, because then literally we get fucked. Everybody's meant to be in different positions. Yeah, like you have your own analysis, you have your own opinions. Does that make sense? This system works better that way. Yeah. Okay, anyways, so therefore a month at this should cause a greater than 600% rally. Now, to be clear, it's not that it's going to cause 7x, right? It doesn't mean that we're going to cause a 4,200% rally in a month, right? Maybe not. The fact of the matter is that we always have our own inflation rate. Does that make sense? That's in the ratio. So we always, okay, we have a deflation rate. So we have like an expansion rate, right, of like 0.7. Then you have like a fucking contraction rate, which by the way, variable. Then you have a fucking buy rate, right? Variable. Then you have a sell rate, which is variable. Do you guys understand? So then if I change 0.7 to 0.1, like these other three variables are still like ranging. Does that make sense? So like changing this from a 0.7 to a 0.1 does not imply that we're going to have 4,000% gain in a month. But maybe we will. Like, it's all theoretical. Does that make sense? This is a range of possible futures. Look at it like a system. Make sense, everybody? All right. Okay, so yeah, I think that was most of the show notes. Let's see. Arguably now, Pyre Phantom's 24 hours is now down to only 8%. So, you know, even as spooky as the numbers were, yeah, looking here, it's now showing that our 24 hours is now a -8. It was showing -17 before. Considering the market in general is continually like Pyre BNB shows holding. Pyre Phantom now shows 14%. Let's see if I click refresh. What does it say? It shows -14. Did it go down more? Now it shows -14. It's calculating and recalculating. Yeah. But what I'm noticing here is that this little part right here, this part of consolidation is reversing pretty quickly if this is a true consolidation pattern. Somebody bought, I wonder, with only $1. Is that correct? It's not even showing the transaction yet. Okay. Sorry. $33. Okay, somebody bought $33 worth. There you go. Who knows what'll happen next? Yes. Yes, CJ, that's what I mean about most people are holding it illiquid. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, like the tokens are being held illiquid, obviously. Now, granted, I don't know if you were paying attention, CJ, but believe it or not, the liquidity here is not 6,000. It's actually over 100,000. Were you here yesterday? Okay, so if I do Pyre Phantom, so here, Pyre Phantom against 2 ohm, the fucking liquidity is 26,000. You see that right there? So here, I'll just write these numbers up. 26,000. Then next we have here 6,000. Right? Then here against ETH we even have 3,000 here. Right? Here against, let's see, nothing there. Okay, but then we have 0. We have nothing there. Okay, then we have 46,000. Oh, somebody put Taro against Pyre Phantom. Wonder who that was. Okay, we have Axelar Bitcoin against Pyre Phantom for another 3,600. Let's see, 3 ohm against Pyre Phantom for another 20,000. There you go, buddy. There you go, champ. Okay. Anyways, 26,000, 9,000. This is 35,000. 35,000 plus 46,000 is what? That's like what? 80,000, 90,000. Sorry, that's 81,000. 81,000 plus 3,600 is 84,600 plus 20,000. So it's about 105,000 liquidity. So when you look at the market cap and you're saying, whoa, what's going on there? The liquidity is, in fact, half the market cap. Does that make sense, everybody? Does it make sense? So by the way, if liquidity is 100,000, and if liquidity is 100,000 and the market cap is like 200,000, this sort of implies that if all of it got sold at the same time, it would still only crush it like by what, 80%? I actually can't do that math in my head. But yeah, so literally, if the entire, if all of Pyre Phantom got sold right now, in theory, we wouldn't even be as low as we were on September 6th. Interesting. Yeah, but again, you know, that also is that's simulated for no liquidity withdrawal too, right? Makes sense to you guys? Yeah, I'm just talking about just the illiquid amount being held. Yeah, so if the entire market cap got sold, we would still be above where we were beginning of September. Am I making sense? Because I realized that again, like I know that I'm incomprehensible sometimes, but yeah, well, it is what it is. Sometimes, by the way, sometimes the best ways to predict the price chart is to look at the dashboard. So I think Alessio recorded that we actually burned more Pyre Phantom than we printed for the first time since Genesis version 2. Did you guys know that? We in fact net contracted the supply. By the way, that's useful. That's useful to see, by the way, that we know exactly like what it takes to kind of like stop. Does that make sense? Like stop supply growth, right? But at the same time, right here, we do want to get to peg with the highest total supply possible. Does that make sense? So in order for Pyre Phantom, I'm going to explain what I said before, right? Right now we have a total supply. Let me go look on the actual website. Thank you, Mr. Producer. Okay, so we have, oh look at that, 0.012. They said we'd never make it, you guys. They said we'd never make it. TWAP keeps climbing. We're already past 0.01 and we're a quarter to 0.02, you guys. Look at that. We're just blowing right past these micro TWAPs. We're already a quarter of the way to 0.02, you guys. Yeah, big numbers, okay? Anyways, so we have a total supply of 5.7 million, right? And Pyre Phantom is 25.8 million. Everybody see these numbers? Everybody understand what metric I'm looking at here? We're talking about the total supply of 5.7 million against Pyre Phantom. If we were to do this on the old calculator, 25.8 divided by 5.7 equals 4.5x. Does that make sense? Oh yeah, we're doing better against Rat Phantom. Yeah, I believe that because Phantom. Yeah, so Phantom's crash, by the way, benefited us. Are you guys aware of that? Phantom's crash helped us climb in TWAP. So by the way, this is another example of the way that PYRESWAP has these other paradigms. Does that make sense? Because like not only can our red candles be good, but the red candles of our gas tokens can also theoretically be good. This is also why we say it's a winter-proof economy. Everybody follow me here? And do you guys see what Dr. Mac is posting in the general chat there? Yeah. A little hard to see on the screen, but yeah, it's right there. Okay, so do you guys see that we have a 4.5x total supply? Well, when Pyre Phantom gets up to fucking 2 ohm, which by the way, it doesn't need to go that much farther. I'll tell you this, we are now closer to 2 ohm. That's less than a 600% gain, right? Right? What's 1.25 times 6? Yeah, it's actually 7.5. So that's not even the distance anymore. So we are, okay, since September 6th, we're more than halfway there. we have now also accelerated. Do you guys understand? Like, everybody was like, oh, we're never coming back. Like, we're going to get back to the mead level real fucking soon. Does that make sense to you guys? I think everybody didn't realize the price action was capable or possible like this. But yeah, we've already made it back more than half. Do you guys understand that? We've made it back more than half, and that was at 0.7. Everybody follow me here? I expect the first week of this to actually go the slowest because it's still kind of like adjusting to the new emission rate. Make sense to you guys? I expect that some people might even exit Genesis during this first week. Does that make sense? They'll just like withdraw and dump. So I know that everyone's bullish right now. That's great. I hope you're bullish for like a month, you know? I think that'll really be where you start to see the change happen. Anyways, 4.5x. Well, if we bring the price of Pyrephantom up to 2 ohm and mead happens, yeah. Each mead, 2 ohms, 2 ohm total supply goes down and Pyrephantom goes up. Do you guys understand this here? Because it's literally happening with that transaction. Okay, so as this is happening, which therefore means this ratio goes up. Do you guys understand this? Does that make sense to you guys? So each mead that happens, we're going to slowly shift it around until this 4.5x might become 5x. Do you guys understand? Making sense? Making sense? All right, I hope so. Okay. Well, phenomenal. Anybody else have any comprehension questions? Anybody else worried about the us not having a 50% day today? I don't really expect it to be an average of 50% a day. You know what I mean? Like that's over speculative. You guys get what I'm saying? We've done it now twice, right? It'll be okay though. It'll be okay. Making sense? It'll still be okay. Like it's just like consistency is an exponent. Does that make sense? It's going to the user-based behavior is going to it's going to, again, it's stochastic. It's going to behave like the way when you start an engine, you know, like it like, well, I guess now there's so many different types of engines. Back in the day, you would need to like fire the engine a couple times before it really starts like auto catalyzing. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Before it begins like spinning by itself, right? So like the way that these charts are going to behave, I expect them to kind of like need to turn over a couple of times before maybe they really start running, if that makes sense. Right now, I think we're just going to keep kind of vying for being in the, yeah, like that. We're going to keep vying for being in like the top gainers in the dailies. Does that make sense? You know, green candles do a fucking bunch of marketing, but like it's not all we have going on. Like these green candles are kind of just there to show the uptrend and to make it look enticing, right? 0.1 will be even faster than 0.7 for sure. How much faster, I don't know. But yeah, like we are in fact, I might just go do stickers today, to be honest. And yeah. Other than that, yeah. Did I say thank you already for Thankful Thursday? Did I say thank you to everybody? Yeah, your exposure to this experiment is appreciated. I think it'll be very lucrative for you. Yeah. Oh, yep. Okay, so okay, yeah. Also, on the chart, the VRP will always end up dominating. I'll just say dominant. Okay? The velvet rope pattern will always end up dominant. So, like, don't fight the velvet rope pattern. Am I clear? Do you guys understand what I'm saying here? Like, trade with the velvet rope pattern. Like, it doesn't matter if we're going to the moon. We will go to the moon at the rate the velvet rope pattern wants to go to the moon. Do you guys understand? The velvet rope pattern is like the fucking, yeah. It's like your heartbeat here. Does that make sense? Do you guys understand? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Yeah, like, do not fight the velvet rope pattern. Go to the moon surfing the velvet rope pattern. No, thank you, Trigger. Yeah, and thank you for your great work on Trigger. Fexer, you're not even wrong. Like, work with the velvet rope pattern, not against it. So, like, right now you look at the chart, right? I'm gonna go back to the chart, and it's fucking weird looking, right? Let's see if we can make it. Let's see. First of all, look at that. You pin it against Phantom. It looks like it's climbing against Phantom. Let's see if we can auto it. Get more. Let's see if we can get closer here. So let's take a look. Let's see what time everything is. This is now 1800. Nope. Let's go back to 1 o'clock. There we go. 1 o'clock right there. Now you might see it that like, hey, wait a minute. Actually, let's go to fucking 1 minute. Let's go all the way to 1 minute. Okay. There you go. Do you guys see it right there? It's still showing up. 1 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Do you guys see it right there? Do you guys see it? Like, the velvet rope pattern is still going to show up. Do you guys see it? Like, it'll always end up dominant, so trade with it, not against it. Like, this will matter more as the project grows, too. Like, the velvet rope pattern is not going to get less powerful. It'll always end up dominant. You can sometimes there can be some frenzy activity, and you might overshadow the velvet rope pattern. But the problem is, do you guys know why the velvet rope pattern dominates? Because it is, do you guys want another word? Because it is consistent. Does that make sense? The velvet rope pattern dominates through its consistency. Does that make sense? It's not trying to impress everybody. It's just so fucking consistent. Making sense, everybody? So you can, in fact, take money. You can take $1,000 and throw it at Pyre Phantom right now. Velvet rope pattern doesn't give a fuck. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like, all right, that was cool. We appreciate that. We're going to go back to normal business now. Does that make sense? Yeah, like that price action is a distraction from the velvet rope pattern. So right back to the velvet rope pattern right here. 7, by the way, 7 o'clock is when it fires here. So right here, 7 o'clock, and then literally it goes up to here, 1300. Yep, that right there looks like what? Velvet rope, 1300. Dips again. When does it go up? It's literally climbing in anticipation. Like, who knows? 7 o'clock. Let's see what happens here. When was the last time here? Here, this one's very, very wide. But there you go. 1 o'clock. It's kind of visible there. But let's see what's happening here. There you go. 1300. Even here you can see it. Kind of. That's a bit crude. Okay, 7 o'clock right there. There, that one's kind of visible. Yeah. Does that make sense? It just like, even under fucking hype, let's see what's right here. 1800, yeah. Right there. Here's a fucking beautiful one. 1900 all the way to 1300. Let's find 1300. Wow. Actually, this was fucking over-speculated. Okay, it's over here. But that's also one of the ways that it shows up. Anyways, am I making sense to you guys? Like, don't fight the velvet rope pattern. Like, let the velvet rope pattern work for you, okay? Does that make sense to you guys? It'll always show up again. It'll always show up. Yeah. I'm never going to stop teaching it because, like, it helps. Like, the velvet rope pattern, yeah, smile. Well done. I appreciate that. It's, like, the more people become cognizant of it, like, it becomes self-manifesting too. Make sense to you guys? And by the way, this is an example of, like, again, fundamental analysis is there for you, right? Like technical analysis, okay, but you have to like build that upon fundamental analysis. Here's 1300. Look at that before, and then we go all the way. What's over here? And look at this one. This is fucking all types of crazy ass shit happening here. I have no idea what's happening here. Yeah, okay, that's fucking weird. But even there, you can see it fucking hyper speculated up. Whoever was buying here on the first during this moment, this like surge, I guess it made sense because if you're buying at this moment, you're obviously trying to 10x or 100x, right? But you can see that they bought it, and then the velvet rope pattern still was like, no, fuck you. We haven't gone through a downswing yet. Do you guys see that right here? Do you guys see what I'm talking about? So this right here is 7 o'clock, which is the incantation. So right here, the incantation fires, and you can even see that little wick, right? You can see it fired right there, right? And like it's gonna start going into downtrend. Somebody bought it within what? They bought it within 10 minutes. They bought a bunch of it. And then still it's like, no, fuck you. We still need to go through downtrend. So then it just fought and fought and fought. We need to go through a downswing, right? And people are buying it here. It's like, no, we still need to do a downswing. And then now here, right? Here at 1300, it finishes. Does that make sense? Do you guys see the velvet rope pattern like insists upon showing up? Right? Even if these red candles obviously didn't overpower those green ones, they're still going to show up. Like, it's okay. Right? There's only 2 colors on the fucking price chart, you guys. Am I clear? Making sense? Yeah. Just to be clear, like, the velvet rope pattern does insist on showing up. So, like, this is through human nature as well. Like, through human nature and the mechanics. Like, through the combination of that, the velvet rope pattern exists. So, like, we could scale to 100,000 users and we would also have the velvet rope pattern. Are we clear? 100,000 people trading this chart, the velvet rope pattern will still dominate. Are we clear? You could fill this chart with randomized volume bots and the velvet rope pattern will still show up. Anyways, okay. So by the way, the fact that we have Pyre Phantom traded in through the peg tokens is great for the night game. So the fact that there's deep liquidity for Pyre Phantom 2 ohm, Pyre Phantom 3 ohm, and Pyre Phantom Z ohm, that's great for the night game because that deep liquidity is helpful for masquerade trading, and it's what allows the tomb forks to peg and print. Does that make sense? So like the third tier of Genesis pool, those are in fact critical for the night game. Make sense, everybody? So the fact that Pyre Phantom here is 6,000, right? You see it's 6,000 here, but it's like 40,000 on Pyre Phantom Z ohm or whatever, or Pyre Phantom 2 ohm. Right? Whatever the fuck it was way higher, right? Like 5 times higher at least. Like that is great news for people holding the peg tokens because they can swap in and out of Pyre Phantom with less price impact. Making sense to you guys? Does it? Okay. All right. Well, anyways, we're at like 50 minutes. Do you guys have questions? I'll just do Q&A. If not, I'll see you guys Monday. So I'll just hold the floor open for, I don't know, a few minutes. I want to actually mention something here again. Like, numbers in finance are meaningless without ratios. Make sense to you guys? Right? And that's from this book here, which again, like we're still in this first chapter and I might talk about it more maybe next Thursday or just on future days or whatever. But yeah, it is again, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Yeah. They're meaningless without ratios. Make sense to you guys? All right. Well, okay. Thanks so much for coming to the PYRESWAP show. And thank you to my producer. And thank you to everybody else. Have a great rest of your day. See you on Monday.